In this exercise, we're going to teach you how to apply specs to new ductwork, to apply specs to existing ductwork, to edit it, and to change the specification in the middle of a duct line in case you need to do it on your drawing. I've opened up my Practicat exercise template. Now what we're going to do is go into the workbox and select a zone. Remember, your zones might be different than the zones on this tutorial. It's all dependent upon your own data, so just select a zone you're comfortable with. I'm going to choose Zone Supply. When I do that, Practicat is going to ask what I want to apply it to. I'm going to select Apply Zone to New Fittings and press OK. Then we're going to go back into the workbox and select a specification. I'm going to select a high pressure specification or 6-inch water gauge to start. When I do that, Practicat will once again say what do we want to apply it to. We're going to say New Fittings. Now we need to select a piece of duct by going into your fitting bin and choose a piece of rectangular duct. Then go to your fitting parameter box and give the width and depth in the parameters 40 by 20. Then go into your elevation box and give a bottom elevation of your choice. In this exercise, we're going to give it 15 feet. Now I'm going to place the duct on the drawing. We click once to start the rotation. When we've got it specified, we click again. And then we're going to make sure if we are routing anything here, you can see the routing commands. We're going to switch it from P to piece and add a piece of duct. Then we're going to hit C spacebar to continue and add a second piece. Then come up to your fitting parameter box and select a transition. Now in this exercise, we want to change the specification after the transition. So we're going to say that we want the transition to be 4-inch water gauge and the duct after it to be 2-inch water gauge or whatever specifications you're using. So first I'm going to click on the drawing to place the transition. Now what we do when we get into this situation is we have to place one fitting on the drawing that will have the wrong specification. And the reason why that's going to happen is because currently in my duct work library settings, you can see that I have all the buttons for trace and set by selection selected. Now we could uncheck these, make the spec change, go back into library and recheck them, but I think it's easier to not have to go into the library options every time we go to do a spec change. So we're going to exit out again, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab another piece of duct, and notice that we have supply 6-inch water gauge. For the rest of this tutorial, I'm going to lock the workbox open by clicking on the little arrow and pointing it down. Then we're going to go over and grab a piece of rectangular duct, and it's on continue. So we're going to attach one more piece by clicking on the drawing. Now I'm going to hit escape to let go of the fitting that it was starting to place on continue. Here we need to change this fitting by changing and editing the spec table. So we're going to click on the fitting once, go up to your specifications and choose 2-inch water gauge. And then say apply spec to current selection. When we do that and press OK, we've now updated the spec of this particular fitting. You can see that this is 2-inch water gauge, and if you click on the transition, you can see that it's 6-inch water gauge. That means that all the ductwork from here on out will now follow the 2-inch water gauge specification table. Take note that currently, most likely your duct is now on the wrong layer. We can do two things. We can either add a piece of duct and then layer match this one to that one, or we can double click and switch the layer right here in our AutoCAD property box. In this tutorial, we're going to do a layer match. So what we need to do is we're going to exit out of the AutoCAD property box. We're going to select another fitting and we're going to continue. Now notice, because this fitting is picking up the properties spec and zone, that for our template here, the layer has updated correctly. So what we really want to do is make sure we change the layer of this fitting. Practicat updates layers as you place duct on the drawing. So since we put this duct on the drawing at 6 inch, it placed it on a 6 inch high pressure supply layer, or whatever your layer conditions dictate. So what we're going to do is a layer match command. Now there are tutorials on layer match command, but we're going to go over it again here. I'm going to click on the home key ribbon. And you'll notice there's a feature right here called layer match. You can also type in your command line lay MCH as it's representing here. What we do is we highlight our fitting first that we want to change, click on layer match, and then AutoCAD is going to ask us to select objects on destination layer. And all I'm going to do is click here. Notice it's done it for the ductwork. I will also want to do the same thing for the tags. I would want to be able to click on the tags, click on lay match, and then select the tags that I want to match it to on the other duct line. Now you can see that the tags have updated their layer. Now we've got a spec change in the middle of the duct line that we change without having to go into the duct line placement options. If you were doing a spec change at a VAV, you would switch it at the VAV box, wherever you want to change. So you see what we did here. We added one piece on the drawing incorrectly, and then we did a current selection spec change. Now in this exercise, we're going to do one more thing with specifications. We're going to edit the entire duct line. To do that, we're going to use a selection automatic. In your bin, we're going to choose the one that says select duct line forward, no tags. We're going to click on the beginning of the duct line, and then switch the specifications all back to 2-inch water gauge, and apply it to current selection. Press OK. Once again, that will update all the specifications of all the fittings, but it does not update the layers. So you want to make sure you do a layer match to place things on the proper layer. That concludes the exercise on applying specifications, switching them in the middle of the line, and editing whole duct lines with different specs.